Will democracy survive in the next couple of years?
And essentially, we are the same.
And there are so many needs that Minnesota has.
What people are saying they need right now.
Access to democracy is made possible by donations from the following organizations. Thomson Reuters, a global company with expertise and insight to unravel complex situations in the areas of law, tax, compliance, government, and media. Their worldwide network of journalists and editors keep customers up to speed on relevant global events. Thomson Reuters, the Answer Company. Crutchfield Dermatology, a full-service treatment center in Medi-Spa in Eagan. Their goal is to help you look good and feel great with beautiful skin. With service built around courtesy, dignity, and respect, Mayo-trained Dr. Charles Crutchfield personally treats each patient and is acknowledged as one of the nation's best physicians. Firefly Credit Union, with locations throughout the Twin Cities, has proudly served Minnesotans since 1925. Firefly guides its members forward by delivering customized financial solutions to improve their lives in all aspects of banking. Firefly Credit Union, they light the way with life illuminated. Edina Eye, Physicians and Surgeons, a division of Twin Cities Eye Consultants, has proudly served the Twin Cities for more than 55 years. Now in 7 convenient locations. Using the most advanced technology combined with human touch, Edina Eye offers comprehensive services but dedicated specialists committed to excellence with innovative procedures and expertise for the most advanced eye care.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Access to Democracy. I'm your guest host, Peter Miller. Our guest is the longtime friend of this program and a frequent appearer. Is that the right word? Dave St. Peter, president of the Minnesota Twins. Good afternoon, Dave.
Peter, it's good to be with you today.
It's a pleasure to have you. Very exciting couple of weeks for Twins fans. You guys have been diligent and busy, I can tell.
Well, the off season, every one of them has a different cadence. And this one was obviously started out slow, but has picked up quite a bit here over the course of the last 30 days. And for Twins fans, really over the last 2 weeks. But we're thrilled with where our roster sits going into spring training. We had difficult decisions early on with a number of free agents and ultimately the decision about Eddie Rosario moving on. But the ability over the last few weeks to add Andrelton Simmons, to add Jay Happ, to add Nelson Cruz, I think makes the Twins better. We're not done yet. We're continuing to look for other ways to add talent, whether it be via trade or free agency. And we'll go to spring training with a really good baseball team, one that's not only capable of winning our division for the 3rd consecutive year, but more importantly to our fans, I think, is making a run in the postseason and competing for a world championship. That's the goal.
Well, the people I speak to would like nothing better than that. They live and breathe Twins baseball. And, a lot of the people I work with and my friends are really excited about these acquisitions. Let's talk about a couple of them for a minute or two. Andrelton Simmons, a 4-time Gold Glove shortstop. What an addition, and how much is that going to help your pitching staff?
That's a great way to look at it, Peter. We think a lot about run prevention, and what that means for us is great pitching and great defense. And I think it's a little different approach, but it's really, in many ways, it really was more the formula of our success in 2020 than in 2019, where it was more about the Bomba squad. So
right.
We think Andrelton Simmons is not only the best defensive shortstop in baseball. We think he's going to make us better in a lot of ways. He's going to allow us to move Jorge Polanco over to second base, where we think Jorge can be a plus defender to go along with his offense. It also is going to allow us to turn Luis Arraez into a super utility player. And we think super utility players are absolutely critical in today's game. If you watch the teams that competed in the postseason last year, the teams that advanced in the postseason, they all had a number of players that can play all over the diamond. And we think Luis Arraez can do that. We know he can play second base. He's played shortstop for us in the past. He's played third base in the past. He certainly has played left field in the past. So Rocco's going to be able to deploy Luis Arraez in a variety of different ways, which makes our club better.
So he's a baseball player, not just a specific position. You can just plug him in where you need him.
Yeah, and it's going to be critical. We saw last year with some of the injuries that we dealt with. We want to make sure that we're easing Josh Donaldson in early in the year.
Right.
We love the idea of Josh Donaldson at a Gold Glover at third base next to a Gold Glover at shortstop with Anderson Simmons. But we think roster flexibility and the ability to move guys around the diamond is the way Rocco likes to manage, and we think we can have a lot of success with that.
Well, we're speaking of Josh Donaldson. There's a few players that have had some injuries. How can we get an update on Josh, on Brian Buxton, Miguel Sano? How are all these guys looking at this point in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the year, Byron Buxton had a concussion, so he's obviously overcome that and is 100% full go.
Good.
Going into spring training. Keeping him healthy is going to continue to be critical for us. We are a much better baseball team when Byron Buxton is playing center field. Same can be said for Josh Donaldson at third base. Josh dealt with the calf issues last year, similar to what he had dealt with a couple years ago in Toronto. He had a healthy 2019. We're hopeful he's going to have a healthy 2021. He's doing a lot of work with some specialists in the area right here in Minnesota, a couple doctors. I think he's fairly confident that we've got a handle on it. And I think we're going to probably approach the start of the season with him, kind of letting him kind of ease into things a little bit, just to make sure that he's got his legs underneath him. And but we feel good about where those two guys are at. They're both really critical components of our success.
One of the things I noticed is, and I guess this is the way things are now in 2020, 2021, you really bulked up the bullpen this year in the offseason. Besides, Alex Colomé, which I know is a work in progress, or at least that's my understanding, having read the periodicals and whatever. But I saw that you added Hansel Robles and Daniel Colomé and some other people with major league experience to kind of bulk things up.
Yeah, and I think we're going to continue to add there. I don't think we're done quite yet, Peter. But, our bullpen last year was one of the strengths of our club. There's no doubt about it. And we lost some guys there. Trevor May went to sign with the Mets. There's still a couple guys that are free agents, whether it be Tyler Clippard or Sergio Romo. Matt Whistler ended up signing with the San Francisco Giants, I believe. So, okay. We love what Taylor Rogers brings. We love what Tyler Duffy brings.
Sure.
We love what Cody Stashak brings, Jorge Alcala. But the additions that you've mentioned, whether it be Hansel Robles, a former closer for the Mets, the trade we made recently for a young man by the name of Anderson that comes to us from the Giants.
Right.
And then we're working on another signing that you referenced around Colomé that's not official yet, but we think that those things can really put us in a strong position, to, again, allow Rocco to manage the game the way he likes to manage it, not necessarily with a defined closer, but pitching pitchers in the biggest moments, whether that be the 9th inning, the 8th inning, the 7th inning, or the 6th inning.
When you hired Rocco, did you have he's turned out to be a revelation, at least from our perspective as fans watching it. It seems like the team really loves him and plays for him. I know you always hire a manager thinking that that's what you're going to get, but have you been pleasantly surprised, or did you expect him to be this good?
We expected him to be progressive. We expected him to be a connector of people because that's who he is as a person. Right. He came to us through the Tampa Bay Rays organization, which is an organization very rooted in analytics, very rooted in trying to find competitive advantages in terms of flexibility, in terms of roster development, players that play all over the diamond. You think about Ben Zobrist and others from those great Tampa Bay teams and
sure.
they still have today. You see a lot of those types of players. And I think Rocco is most comfortable when he has a lot of options to show up every day to work a lineup. I don't think he's ever comfortable when it's just the same 9 guys in the same 9 positions every single day. I think he likes to shake things up a little bit, keep people fresh, and certainly keep everybody on that active roster engaged in the day-to-day team.
Great. Let's talk about the rotation for a moment. Kenta Maeda, what a tremendous season he had. As a matter of fact, I didn't realize this till last night that he led the major leagues in WHIP last season, or at least for starting pitchers. Jose Berrios, who seems to have all the talent. It looks like he's always on the verge of becoming a true number 1 starter. Yeah, J.A. Happ, who's just a gamer, from what I can tell, and I've watched a lot of J. Happ over the years when I lived in New York, and Michael Pineda, who's just had really good years for you guys. Where do you see the rotation, and where do you see filling it out, or who are you looking at to fill it out for this year?
Well, we're continuing to look for more depth. I think we all believe that's going to be critical. So many pitchers last year were able only to throw a pretty small number of innings based on the truncated season. So this idea that pitchers are going to go from that to going back to throwing almost 200 innings, I just don't think that's going to happen. I think there's going to be a lot of teams, maybe every team, that's going to be looking for a lot more starting pitching depth than normal. So we're still in the market on that front. You mentioned certainly at the top of the rotation, Kenta Maeda was everything and more. We couldn't have asked for anything more. We ended up finishing in the top three in the Cy Young voting. He was sensational for us. He was truly a number one pitcher. Jose Barrios had a slow start, but really picked it up and pitched tremendously well down the stretch. We didn't have success in the playoffs last year, but if you go back and look at those two games against Houston, our starting pitching in both of those games was good enough to win. It was part of the reason we were in those games. Michael Pineda has been a huge weapon for us. Obviously, the suspension knocked him back at the end of 2019, at the beginning of 20. But we go into this year with him in a contract year. We're expecting great things. J. Happ, you mentioned it. He's a warrior. This guy will take the ball. We think he's going to be effective. We have a number of other guys, whether it be Randy Dobnik or whether it be Lewis Thorpe, whether it be Devin Smeltzer, or whether it be some kids that are in our minor league system right now. There's a number of options we can go to fill out the rest of the starting pitching roster, so to speak. But I will tell you, Peter, we're still looking for starting pitching, and it wouldn't surprise me at all to see us add at least one more starter before the start of spring training.
Okay. That guy Bauer is out there,
Yeah, I read that. That. I'm not sure we're going to be quite at that level, but maybe close. We'll see.
I don't know that anybody could be at that level. Supposedly he was going to pick a team today. You mentioned some minor players in the minors. Look, I was doing a little research last night, and I was on Fangraphs, and then MLB.com. You have 4 of the top 100 rated prospects in all of baseball, according to MLB.com. In Royce Lewis, Alex Kirilloff, who I know made a cameo appearance last year at the end of the season, I believe, did he not?
Yeah, he actually he started game 2 of the wild card playoff series against the Astros.
I think, one of the only players in Major League Baseball whose first appearance was in the playoffs, I believe.
Yeah, he played well. No, we think the world of Royce and Alex are both dynamic players. One's an outfielder, and the other's a shortstop. We think both of them are very close to making an impact on the major league team, and we can't wait to get both of them back into spring training and kind of see where they're at.
I saw Trevor Larnach and Jordan Balazovic. I'm sorry. Also, I think any of these guys are also close to. Did I pronounce that wrong?
Yeah. No, you pronounced you were pretty good. No, I mean Larnach is closer out of the two. Larnach clearly is a gifted hitter, college bat. I think the very good chance he'd be at AAA if he's not in at the major league level, but certainly gives us a tremendous amount of outfield depth. When you think about Kirilloff, you think about Larnach, and then you think about Brent Rooker. And Brent Rooker was a force on our 2020 team. He just unfortunately got hit by a pitch and got hurt, and that took him out of the postseason roster. So we think outfield depth is one of the strengths of our club. In terms of Balazovic, he has more development to do. My gut would be he'd probably end starting out the season maybe at high A or maybe double A down in Wichita. But we think that he's going to have a chance to be a very, very formidable major league starter. I'm not sure we're going to see him in Minnesota in 2021, but certainly he's closer than you might think.
Okay. Talking about minor leagues, one of the things I was reading also, a lot about recently is your new AAA team right up the road here in St. Paul. How nice is that going to be to have, such close proximity to your troops?
We're thrilled about it, or ecstatic would be a word I would just use to describe it. We think it's great from a Twins perspective for player development reasons, the synergies that can be created between your major league environment and your AAA environment, to be able to do that in real time in the same general community, the crossover opportunities there are tremendous. When you think about it, you could have a player who is on the disabled list, maybe go out on a rehab assignment for a game or two in St. Paul and take some at bats in the afternoon in St. Paul and play in a major league game that night in Minneapolis. That could happen, and that excites us. We think the benefits, though, go well beyond just the Twins player development. We think it's going to be great for the Saints. They obviously have had a tremendous environment and tremendous run. They don't need any help selling tickets, but now they have the on-field players to sell, future Twins prospects, visiting teams coming in with some of the hot shot prospects in our game. And then when you think about what the franchises can do together to grow the game of baseball, to invest in our collective brands and to give back to the community, it's a pretty special partnership and one that we're just absolutely thrilled came together in 2020.
Great. And I understand there's a familiar name to a lot of Twins fans managing that team this year, the son of a longtime Twins staple, right?
Yeah, Toby Gardenhire, who was scheduled to be our AAA manager a year ago in Rochester, New York. Of course, Rochester no longer a AAA club, now St. Paul. Never managed a game at AAA last year because we didn't play any games. So this year we're hopeful that the minor league season will start. Hoping with fans in the stands over at CHS Field and around. And Toby Gardenhire will manage the Saints, which is a fun backstory to this whole thing.
Yeah, very interesting. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, and you just sort of touched upon it, but what's the prospects of fans in the stands this year? Where does Major League Baseball and the Twins stand on that? I understand it's a team by team, state by state kind of an issue right now.
Yeah, it is really state by state, and in some cases city by city. Right now, I'd answer it in two ways. One, for spring training in Fort Myers, Florida, we are going to have fans. We've gained approval from Major League Baseball. We've gained approval from Lee County, which is the governing body there, and we're going to have up to about 2,000 fans per game.
Great.
In spring training starting here at the end of this month. In terms of Minnesota, we are still having an ongoing conversation with the governor's office as well as with the representatives of the Minnesota Department of Health. And we're hopeful that we're going to be able to find a way to get a sign off on our ability to return fans to Target Field for the regular season, which for us starts on April 1st in Milwaukee. But then our home opener is April 8th against Seattle. Okay. So nothing official yet. We have a lot of work to do. The virus numbers need to continue to get better, but they're trending in the right direction in many ways.
You seem to be having a technical issue here. I don't know if you can hear me, David. I mean, there you are. You are back.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. You're okay. We're all good now. Last thing I guess I wanted to talk to you about. Last year, and I guess going into this year, MLB introduced all kinds of new rules. I have my own opinion on them, and that my opinion doesn't really matter. But I'd like to run them by you and get just a quick answer from you, what you think about them. I guess the universal DH is still a work in progress, although it seems like both sides want it. Somehow it seems like it's become a negotiation ploy between the union and Major League Baseball. Any update or any thoughts as to how that's going to resolve itself this year?
Unfortunately, we're freezing up here.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine now. I was asking you about what the latest is on the universal DH.
Well, the universal DH, of course, came to be in 2020 based on an agreement that came together between Major League Baseball and the Players Association in the midst of COVID about how we could maybe approach the 2020 season different. But that agreement governed a lot of different things around the return to play plan for 2020. And within the context of that agreement, it ended at the end of the 2020 season. So Major League Baseball has tried many times to talk to the union about universal DH in 2021. To this point, there has not been an agreement, and therefore you revert back to the default position is the DH is an American League rule, and the National League does not have the DH. So at this point, I don't see the universal DH playing out unless there's an agreement that is struck between now and opening day.
And somehow, from what I've been reading, that seems to be tied in to the expanded playoffs, adding more teams. I'm not sure that
I think the league has tied those two things. I think the league has tied those two things together, Peter.
Right.
It's feasible, but maybe they'll be untied at some point. But, there were a lot of new rules and changes in our game in 2020. You mentioned universal DH. You mentioned expanded postseason. We also took steps around 7-inning doubleheaders. We started extra innings with a runner on second base. We expanded the rosters. I think there was a lot of benefit to that. I think we got to see a lot of things play out in real time and learned a lot of lessons around what's going to work and what isn't going to work. So, and frankly, most of those changes were pretty well received, not just by players, but by baseball officials and by the fans. And I'm hopeful we're going to see some of those not only in 2021, but for sure once we get a new collective bargaining agreement for 2022 and beyond.
As a fan, and I'm a pretty avid baseball fan, I love baseball. I wasn't crazy about it when I first saw it. When I first saw what they were going to do. And for the most part, I liked them. I don't care for the runner at second base for extra innings, although I do understand how it can really save a team from blowing out their pitching staff. So it makes sense. But that was the one that kind of, to me, was hard to comprehend. Baseball is such a beautiful sport. If it's not broken, don't fix it. But I do understand the logic behind it, I suppose.
Yeah, I understand that, and you're not alone, Peter, on that one. Though I would say that, I think there's a little more strategy to it than maybe people thought, and there were a lot of folks that maybe had their eyes open to it. I would tweak it a little bit. I think I would play the 10th inning as normal, and then I would insert the runner on second base maybe in the 11th or the 12th inning.
Okay, that's
as maybe a way to modify it. That's how I think about it personally.
Okay, and as far as that I had an idea where you just bring a fan out of the stands and make it like a hockey style shootout. Like each team could put up 3 players. You get some lucky fan every game that gets to throw 3 pitches to each one. Whoever hits the most home runs wins. Don't think that the Major League Baseball would go for it, but as a fan,
but it would be fun. It's a fun idea. I'm not sure that that's going to work at the end of the day, but we can travel with a taxi squad of fans that are home run hitters, right? That would give us a competitive advantage.
Absolutely. I volunteer. I'll get out there. I got to see if I could still reach home plate, though. I'm not sure. I noticed, I was reading something recently about the Pohlad Foundation. And I guess this really started after in the summer when we had all the problems after the slaying of that poor man downtown. You guys have, I guess, all of the major league sports franchises here have been involved in it, but it seems like the Twins are one of the real leaders in very civically committed to this city and to St. Paul. And maybe you could expand on that. But I know that you guys are spending millions and millions of dollars trying to help people right now.
Well, that isn't a new phenomenon for the Twins. We're very blessed to have the Pohlad family as our owners. And Carl Pohlad bought the team in 1984. Jim, Bob, and Bill, his sons, now own the team. And Jim serves as the control person. At the heart of everything the Pohlads do is community. They love the Twin Cities. They love downtown Minneapolis. And I think everybody's hearts were broken by what took place this year, in 2020, the combination of COVID and its devastation with the killing of George Floyd and all of the unrest that followed. So I think that the efforts since those points to go forward, to try to find ways to rebuild communities, to try to find ways to have an impact in bringing people together, to maybe thinking about our criminal justice system and even policing and how we can find ways to enhance that system. The Pohlad Family Foundation stood up with a $25 million commitment on behalf of the family and all of the operating companies, including the twins. And that's just one small way to try to figure out a way to make our community better. We have a lot of work to do, and we're embarking on that on a daily basis.
Awesome. Well, it's been really interesting to talk to you. Like I said, this is a special moment for me when I get to talk baseball with anybody who's really in the sport, not just from a fan's perspective. So I really do appreciate the time. A couple quick questions. Few people that are still out there, and I've read things about Marvin Gonzalez. Any chance of him coming back? Is it still a thought in the process? Or are you happy with?
There's a number of players out, and I said I don't think we're done yet. I think we're still looking for some additional help, both offensively as well as on the pitching side. So possibilities, but I'm not really at liberty in getting into specifics.
Okay, I understand that. Well, I haven't had a chance to get to your new stadium. I moved up here in September of 2019, right after the season ended, and then of course last season, didn't quite work out the way any of us planned in terms of getting to the stadium. But I'm really looking forward to getting out there. From what everybody's told me, it's just an absolutely beautiful, state-of-the-art facility.
Well, we're very blessed again. The ballpark, Target Field, is truly, I would describe it as an urban boutique ballpark. Modern architecture, but it's this incredibly small, tight footprint that it was built on. But that's also the beauty of it. It forced the designers to think about it creatively, to think about how it was going to weave into the footprint of downtown Minneapolis and what that pedestrian experience is going to be. So we're really proud of it. We got to get it back open for business, and we got to get fans back in the ballpark. That's our number
I can't wait to get there. The last time I saw a Twins game was at the old at the Metrodome, and it was loud. I think there was only 10,000 fans there. It was the loudest place I've ever been in my life. But
greatest home field advantage in baseball history was the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome.
And I caught a foul ball from Herbert Perry from that one. You guys were playing the Indians.
Yeah. We rode it to 2 World Series championships that would not have happened had we not had the Metrodome and our fans during those 8 World Series home games.
Well, our time is just about up, David. I can't thank you enough for coming back to talk to us again. It was a pleasure and an honor for me personally. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed this. And I wish you and the Twins nothing but the best of luck this season. Hopefully we'll be going to games in October.
My pleasure, Peter. I hope you will be as well, and let us know if we can help support access to democracy.
Outstanding. Thank you very much, and have a great afternoon.
Be well.
You too. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.